two paths to freedom. Please join your palms together and bow.
Okay, good morning. It's great to see you. Can you hear me from the back? Okay. At the time of the Buddha, one lady was heading to his parents because she was pregnant and she would like to get help from her parents to take care of her baby. She was accompanied by her husband as well as her 10-year-old boy. When she crossed over the river, she started to experience labor pain. So they decided on the river bank, she laid herself down and she prepared herself to give birth to a baby. And her husband, in order to get some soft grass, and he entered in the wooded area. To make a long story short, her husband was bitten by a poisonous snake and died. And she managed to give birth to a baby helped by her son. And from there to her parents, it's too far. So she decided in her mind to go back to her house. So she crossed over the river with her 10-year-old boy, leaving the infant on the other bank shore. So she crossed back to the shore where the baby was there. When she was in the middle of the river, she spotted a big eagle was hovering in the air in order to take her baby. She panicked and she waved and made a lot of noise to shoo the big bird away. But the eagle took her baby away. When she waved in the middle of the river, her 10-year-old boy thought her mother was calling her. And he was scared. When he jumped into the river was too deep to that little boy and he was drowned to death. In one day, she lost 3 loved ones. That's why one person took her to the Buddha, and she told what she experienced in front of the Buddha. I do not know what the Buddha talked to her. Whatever he said, I don't think it helped the lady to comfort her mind. Just like she lost her loved ones, it's a very extreme case, but we also lose our loved ones. I lost my mother. She was in her early 60s, not that old. After my father had a stroke, even though it was minor, he lost his speech capacity. We may lose our career health or whatever thing eventually. Or we cannot attain what we want. Health, financial situation, promotion, lots of things. Old age, sickness, as long as we are born in this world, we have to experience those things. That's why Buddha said, Salam Dukkam. Salam Dukkam means everything is a dissatisfaction. Buddha called the nature of our life is dukkha. Dukkha means dissatisfaction, unsatisfactoriness, even though it's usually translated like suffering. There is good things in our life, but why Buddha said everything is a dissatisfaction? That good thing also eventually disappear. It's not permanent. That's why Buddha said the nature of a human life is a dissatisfaction or dukkha. But the good news is there is a path to end the suffering. Buddha suggested A for the path, A for the path, right speech, right intention, right mindfulness, right livelihood, etc. The marga means the path to end the suffering. Our founding master, Sotaesan, said, instead of he's using the word the path, he's used the word gateway, gateway. Gateway to liberation, gateway to nirvana. When we encounter some challenging situation, for example, we became very financially difficult, or we have to spend a lot of time with some difficult person, etc. How do we deal with those situations? I think whether they are practitioner or not, whether Christian or atheist or Muslim, we basically work in these two ways. One is we try to externally change our condition, environment. For example, if you don't like your boss, you can leave that work many times, even though it is hard. Or if we don't get along with our spouse or whatever person, then we can have some separate time life. So we can change our external condition, even though many times it is hard. On another path is one can internally change our mind. Also, this is not that easy, changing our mind. For example, as long as we live in this world, there is always ups and downs, ups and downs. But when you meditate and empower your mind, enhance your spirituality, etc., then our mind will not be moved, wavering, despite all those ups and downs. Or when we say our mind is moved, attracted or distracted by something, we usually are attracted or distracted usually by many worldly things. So if we study scripture and set up, learn the Dharma, learn the truth, and set up a good, sound life goal. If we change our life goal, which become more worthwhile and sound, then in this world we can stay far centered and live far more peaceful life. Or there is always good and bad things happening at the same time. Or we discover gratitude, focusing on something good and live a life of gratitude, then we can lead a little more peaceful and grateful life. In one word, we can change our external condition, or we can change our mind. These are two paths. So our founding master said, the gateway of faith means changing our environment, creating a lot of blessings make merit to encounter better environment. The gateway of practice is changing our mind, making more centered, peaceful, clear, compassionate, etc. Which is important? Both are important. Both are important. If probably most of you, once in your lifetime, may have experienced some financial difficulty or had to leave some difficult person. So record that situation. Just working, your mind works great. It's not that easy. So our external condition, whether it's a financial situation, a good relationship, or whatever thing, is very important. Why you are born in United States and with the Dharma, and you can progress spiritually yourself. If think about you are born in some country in Africa or in some socialist country, you have a little chance to spiritually progress yourself. Or people in the United States, farmer, for example, they don't have to work all day long. The land in California is fertile in the Midwest. But some people in Africa, they have to work all day long to make ends living. The land, the soil is not fertile, etc. So this kind of a thing is not some, this kind of external thing is called blessings. By blessings of marriage, I met the karmic consequence that we receive, not the blessings that we receive from God in one-sided way. So, would you read that? Yeah. It's from our scripture. Yeah. Yeah. It's from our scripture. Yeah.
Several of the workers said to each other, no matter some. Hearing this, the founder later said to his disciples, generally speaking, as we human beings live our lives in this world, there is bound to be an unexpected inequality and harm that comes inadvertently. Those without understanding presume that these are managed by gods, Buddhas, ancestors, or ghosts, and bestowed upon us. But those with an understanding know that everything is a result of the workings of each person's minds and body. What one has created in the past, one receives in the present. What one creates in the present, one will also receive in the future. There is nothing one receives that one has not made previously. Therefore, foolish people willfully seek wealth and glory in inappropriate places, and willfully try to avoid poverty and hardship. Wise people, however, while tranquilly accepting the previously created transgressions and merits, continue to make steadfast effort toward future merits and happiness. Also, while creating these same merits, they plant infinite beneficent merit among the public, thereby ensuring that the source of blessings and fortune never becomes dry, regardless of time or place.
Okay, thank you, Alan. They say God is a fair God. He's all-knowing. He's the one who counts the number of our hairs. So we reap exactly what we sow. This universe is working on the principle of yin and yang. When it's applied to the human affairs, we usually call it the karmic principle of cause and effect. So what we encountered is what we created in the past. When I say merit or blessings, it's not just the material or secular things. For example, you're meeting the Buddha Dharma, meeting some good teacher, Buddha's teaching are the ones that you already planted a lot of meritorious seeds in the past. It's usually called the heavenly blessing as opposed to earthly blessing. So in order to create a great external conditions, we need to work hard, diligently, especially helping others physically, financially, or mentally, etc. So if you have lots of obstacles in your life, in that case, of course, you can work with your mind, you can hone your innate wisdom by studying scriptures. One of the greatest way to overcome those obstacles in your life is create blessings by helping others in various ways. Having good environment or external condition is not enough for us to attain happiness or freedom of mind. Think about that. In the developed countries, they consume more antidepressant or suicide rate is as high as other underdeveloped countries. In the big Christian church in Korea, during the summertime, lots of college students go to the Philippines or Malaysia to help young children or youngsters in a very impoverished areas. When they come back, most of them say they discovered those kids, those students live far happier than them. If you are junior high or high school students in Korea, you have to work very, very hard, like 16 hours. It's a very competitive environment. So especially these days, low self-esteem, jealousy, depression, comparing mind, etc. These mental things is the obstacle for us to realize the happiness or freedom of mind. That's why in this contemporary society, spiritual practice, which is working with our mind, is that important. This is a pretty well-known story. Two monastics became very close after they were ordained. One Buddhist monk thought, in order to help this world, he had to attain great enlightenment first. So, he studied the Dharma, practiced Dharma meditation for his whole life. In that way, he lived for many lives. His friend said, he's a person of a big heart. Helping others is really important. So he always helped other people inside the monastery or inside the village. He lived in that way for many lives. And eventually, after a long time, the monastic who devoted all his time for his practice become enlightened person. But unlike his fellow Dharma friends, he could not even have enough food or clothes to support himself. There is no students, no followers. One day, when he went to the nearby village in order to ask for alms, he saw one big elephant in the palace. With his spiritual eye, he immediately recognized that the elephant was his Dharma friend in his previous life, who always helped other people. You know, in all the days in India, elephant used as a weapon in the battle, but they get the elephant to drink a lot of wine, and when the elephant go crazy, they release it in the enemy camp so that the elephant trample and destroy all enemy forces. That particular elephant make a big contribution in the battlefield, and he treated so nobly. And the elephant could eat the food which the regular Indian people could not afford. He lived in that great environment. But he's a still animal. That enlightened monk approached that elephant and whispered to the ears of the elephant. Do you know what he said to that animal? According to the scripture, it says, the Arahant, the enlightened monk, said, "You were wrong, I was wrong, we both were wrong." We both were wrong. So just cultivating our mind wisdom one-sided is not great. Just helping others in order to create blessings is also not great. That's why when you read Won Buddhism Canon, the first page, chart of the doctrine, the gateway of faith and the gateway of practice, we have to cultivate these two things, blessings and wisdoms at the same time. So Buddha, in the early morning inside the Asian monastery, they chant Buddha. Bokjokjok Shakyamuni Buddha, Hejokjok Shakyamuni Buddha. Bokjokjok means Buddha with boundless blessings. Hejokjok means Buddha with boundless wisdom. So these are two things, these two gateways, we can realize the freedom of mind as well as the happiness. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Yu, for your wisdom to share with us. So he made a clear point, right? There are two paths to freedom. Remember the first path? Changing our external conditions, which is not easy. And second path? Change our mind, which is not easy either. That's why we need to keep practice. Maybe that's why you are here today, to cultivate your mind through this group energy together. So let us contemplate on his Dharma message and think about what we can take from his talk as take-home points. So take a minute or so to think about that. How I can apply this Dharma message into our daily my life.